Hi everyone. Let's talk through how I chose to answer assignment one. I try to do this every week. I think it's helpful to you to see how I did it. Um, I say it a lot, but there's lots of different ways you can answer these assignments. But again, I've given you a pretty specific formula with our class rules in terms of formatting that I want you to use. And then I try in these assignments to be very specific in the O'Connor's form I want you to use and any other directions. So hopefully we get, if you're following that carefully, something that's along the same lines. So just to remind ourselves what the assignment was, I first asked you to draft a letter to me introducing yourself. I asked for it to be 2 paragraphs. I asked that you format it based on 3A1 and that you create some sort of letterhead at the top for yourself. Follow our class rules. Um, Make sure the letter is addressed to me. And again, make it 2 paragraphs long. Okay, so let's look at how I did the letter of introduction. Okay, so here is my letter of introduction. I have a letterhead that I created for myself up here at the top. I, per the form, have a date. Sometimes students will put 9-3-23. I think for a letter, particularly a legal letter, it's important for us to be a little bit more formal about how we state the date. So I like to use don't abbreviate the month, use the name of the month, the date, comma, then the year. Then we have my contact information. So this is who the letter is going to. I could see where that would be confusing here since I'm both writing the letter to myself and writing it from myself. But on your letters to me, my name should be here. That's who the letter is to. Then we have a Ray line. Ray stands for regarding. So I just stated introduction. Dear Michelle, and then I have my 2 paragraphs. Again, I'm interested in what you guys said to just get to know y'all a little bit better. But in terms of grading, I'm just looking, do you have 2 paragraphs? And then I have a place for me to sign. I came over here sincerely, and then underneath is a line and my name where I would sign my name if I printed this out and was mailing it. Or even if I'm sending it electronically, I at least want to put an electronic signature in there. I did say y'all didn't have to do that on the assignment. And then in terms of other things I'm looking for, did you follow the class rules? So let's see. Our margins are justified here. The font looks appropriate. There is a footer on the bottom left, a page number on the bottom right. Presumably, I stated how much time I spent on this when I submitted the assignment. So those are the formatting things I'll be looking for. Okay? Back over in the assignment itself, the second part of the assignment was to draft a breach of contract letter, and that was based on Form 2A3. And I have some information in here about the background of the conflict between our client and their landlord and what's been happening, some factual information you might use in the letter. And then I said, here's some additional relevant information you may need, and gave you some facts there. So that is the breach of contract letter I needed you to draft. Let's take a look at how I did that. Let me pull it up. Okay, so on my breach of contract letter, I, just like the letter of introduction, I have a date here, then an address block of who I'm sending this letter to. John Thompson was the contact for this Investment Properties LLC. And then I have a regarding line, Ray line, and I just said breach of contract. Dear Mr. Thompson. In my prior letter, I said, Dear Michelle. If I know John Thompson very well, if he's a colleague that I work with a lot and we are on a first name basis, I might say, Dear John, but almost all of the time, especially if you're, have a potential litigation going on, your adversaries, you're going to be a little bit more formal and say dear Mr. Thompson, dear Mrs. Thompson, address somebody a little bit more formally. Before we get into the substance of the letter, I did not include a letterhead here. I told y'all you didn't need to include one because, again, if I were preparing this in my capacity in a law practice, I would draft the letter and then I would print it or electronically print it on a letterhead for my law office. So that's what most people do. And then we get into the meat of the letter. I, again, used that form in O'Connor's and just plugged in the facts that I had in the assignment. I represent ABC Daycare, who has retained me to assert a claim against Investment Properties LLC for breach of contract. This letter is notice of my client's claim and attempt to resolve this matter without litigation. Second paragraph, we have some facts. Third paragraph, my client has fully performed the contract's obligation, but Investment Properties LLC has not. And then I get into what the damages were. We've spent $6,500 in damages. These damages represent the cost of renting a portable AC unit. Should this claim result in litigation, this amount will be adjusted upward to reflect any additional damages. And then we have a paragraph about what our client has spent to this point in attorney's fees, even without litigation going on. At this time, my client has incurred attorney fees in the amount of $2,800. Again, in the event there's litigation, this amount will be adjusted upwards. Finally, our last paragraph. My client wishes to resolve this matter without having to file a lawsuit. Therefore, we request that Investment Properties LLC perform its contractual obligations and remit payment in the amount of $9,300. And then the obligations we want them to perform include repairing or replacing the broken AC unit. If Investment Properties LLC does not agree to perform its contractual obligations and pay the sum within 30 days, we had to specify an amount of time, suit will be filed against Investment Properties LLC. Then I have a little closing and then again a place for me to sign. And if I'm looking at this in terms of our class rules, there's a footer on the bottom left, a page number on the bottom right. Even though this is just one page, I want you guys to be doing that. The margins are justified, an appropriate font has been used. Those are the big formatting things I'm asking you to follow. Okay, so this gives you an idea. The words in your paragraphs may be a little bit different than mine. You may have chosen to do it a different way, state things in a different way. But generally, did you use the facts I gave you? Did you use the form? And put this together as best you could, as close to the form using the facts that you were given in the assignment. All right. Thank y'all so much. Good work.